Ibadan residents protest high cost of living. Lagosians groan over spike in prices of perishable goods. Prices of grains crash in Taraba. And away from Nigeria, US accuses Rwanda for supporting M23 rebel group in Congo. Hello and welcome to Trust News Update. I am Sumaya Abubakar. And now the details. Now, protests broke out in Oyo State, the southwest Nigeria, on Monday over high cost of living, food inflation, and the current economic hardship in the country. Staged in the Mokola area of Ibadan, the state capital, placard-carrying youths in their droves chanted songs to drive home their point. Some of the placards have inscriptions such as "End food hike" and "Inflation," "The poor is starving," and "Tinubu, don't forget your promises," amongst others. Armed policemen were said to be at the scene of the protest. Prices of foodstuffs have crashed in Taraba State, bringing relief to residents who were worried about the soaring prices of basic commodities. Now, findings revealed that the price of maize, millet, guinea corn, white beans, soya beans, and dried cassava has reduced across grain markets in the state. It was learned that there was decline in business activities in the grain market across the state last week, as only few middlemen came to purchase farm produce, leading to a fall in the price of grains. Reports say, unlike previous weeks when middlemen, including agents of companies, made bulk purchases of farm produce in the market, this week there was almost a total absence of the middlemen in the market. At Maihula town, a large-scale farmer, Ali Maihula, said 100 kg bag of maize, which was sold at 54,000 naira, now goes for between 40,000 naira to 42,000 naira. He said prices of soya beans have come down from 40,000 naira to 32,000 naira and guinea corn from 50,000 naira to 41,000 naira. Reports say a measure of locally processed rice, which sold last week at 2,300 naira, has come down to 1,700 naira. Of measure of white beans sold at 2,000 naira 100 is now 1,000 naira 600. A wave of frustration and hardship is sweeping across Nigeria. The economic difficulties caused by ongoing government reforms is affecting the purchasing power of average Nigerians on a daily basis. Now, for those dealing in food items, especially perishable goods, the situation is even worse. Victoria Tokolo sent in this report as presented from our studio.
In the southwest of Nigeria, just like every other part of the country, food crisis is hitting every household's kitchen. The price of tomatoes, a staple in Nigerian cuisine, has skyrocketed to 45,000 naira per basket, while peppers have seen an unprecedented rise to 90,000 naira per bag in Lagos State. This surge has left citizens and residents of the state frustrated, with many cutting down on their daily food expenditures. The rising cost of these essential foods has not only brought discontent amongst the populace, but has also sparked a wave of serious lamentations. The affordability and accessibility of basic food items are now in jeopardy, affecting the daily lives of millions. The strain on both sellers and buyers is clear.
30,000. Pepper, small bag, 40,000. Pepper of bag is 150, 100,000. Pepper now, this one is 500 naira, this one. Me now, so I don't sell tomato. I get children, 7. My husband don't know it again. How many you want to cook with the good 500 naira. Pepper, 500 naira. How many?
4, 6,000, 4,000, 5,500, 3,000 before. Now it's 22 today. This pepper, bag of pepper. Bag of pepper is 90,000. 90,000 of this pepper. Of this one, chombo. Bag of chombo, 45,000. Not be big yo, you know big yo.
Now is 45,000. Small one is 25,000. And before maybe like that. Before 10,000, 7,000. Bag of pepper 75,000. Small one 36,000.
The escalating prices of food items without corresponding increase in income and wages is worrisome among these Nigerians.
Before we were buying baskets of tomatoes 20,000. Now his bags of tomatoes is 60,000 naira. Bag of pepper now is 40,000.
The price of tomatoes now and then is too high now. Like now, for instance, I bought tomatoes about 2,500 naira to make a stew, a pot of soup. But before, we can use 500 naira, 700 naira to prepare a pot of soup. But now it's too high. Even it's ×3 of what we are buying before.
The inability of the government to act swiftly is fueling a widespread dissatisfaction and frustration among Nigerians, leading to pockets of protests and social unrest.
Farmers in Katsina State are jubilating over the 16.7 billion naira approval by Governor Dikko Rada to procure fertilizers for wet and dry season farming in the state. The farmers welcomed the idea of the administration of providing relief through the purchase of fertilizers and other inputs to boost food production. Abdullahi Yamadi tells us more.
At least 8.5 million people out of the 10.3 million Katsina residents are either peasants or large-scale farmers, and the remaining balance are civil servants and others. However, from Dankama in Keita to Damari in Sabo local governments, farming communities everywhere in Katsina State were left at the mercy of touts and middlemen who supply farm inputs at exorbitant prices in the previous years. Beyond that, the farmers were subjected to untold hardship and uncertainty, buying adulterated farm inputs from open markets, forcing many out of the business. This, coupled with insecurity bedeviling in some parts of Katsina State, injected fear of the unknown, discouraging thousands of farmers from partaking in farming activities. The current administration is, however, restoring hope into the minds of farming communities who are now confidently returning to the business with full force, hoping to cultivate food and cash crops to earn a decent livelihood. At the moment, irrigation farmers across the 34 local government areas of Katsina State have returned to the farm after receiving solar-powered water pumping machines, fertilizers and other inputs courtesy of the state and local governments. This, according to Governor Rada, is to bridge the existing crops gap created by insecurity which prevented many farmers from accessing their farms during rainy season due to banditry and climate change crisis.
The State Executive Council approved the procurement of 20,000 metric tons of fertilizer, comprising of 6,000 metric tons of urea, 8,000 metric tons of NPK 1515, and 6,000 metric tons of NPK 2010. These are the result of preparation for this year rainy season, and we want to procure the fertilizer before the beginning of the rainy season.
The government is reassuring that this is just a tip of the iceberg, as several incentives await the farmers until food security is guaranteed everywhere in Katsina State. At least 60 farmers are targeted in each of the 34 local government areas in the first phase of this year's irrigation farming, who will benefit from the incentive as the government is planning for the wet season farming. Already, few months into the administration of Governor Dikwarada, we can now boast of having incentives from the government to support us produce more food and vegetables in this year's irrigation activities. Today, we are celebrating the return of good old days when the government provides incentives and inputs to farmers at a subsidized rate. I think the last time we had this was during the Shema administration. We are happy. Experts believed that the move will go a long way in crashing the prices of farm inputs in the open markets, which at the end will guarantee mass cultivation of both food and cash crops to attain food sufficiency in no distant future. Abdullahi Ismayamadi, Trust Television News, Katsina.
As food price rises and continue to soar, youths in border town of Borno, Adamawa and Yobe State in northeastern part of Nigeria are now migrating to neighboring Chad, Cameroon and Niger Republic to deal with the current economic woes. According to Trust TV's Olutunji Omirin, those migrating their labor and business to the neighboring countries blame the spiraling cost of living in Nigeria and the fall of the naira against the CFA franc for the risky journeys. The report.
Recently, prices of goods like cement, rice, spaghetti, sugar, beans, and other grocery has enormously increased in these border states than anywhere in the country. The purchase power of the people in Bay State has been weakened due to 13 years of prolonged Boko Haram insurgency, which many describe as double tragedy on an already overstretched people. They explain that the decisions of traders to move to neighboring countries to sell goods for safer and come back to buy food items and building material has put pressure on naira.
We usually buy 1 liter of petroleum product at the cost of 700 naira. So, and it will take us about 70 to 80 liters before reaching our destination. So you see, this has adversely affected, has contributed to the skyrocketing inflation of the product we are carrying. Okay, they referred Nigerian naira as worthless because if they come with 2,000 sefa, it's equivalent to 22,000 naira. So they will come with their sefa and change it to Nigerian naira and buy a lot of goods and go back to their country because of the dwindling value of the Nigerian naira.
They describe the removal of subsidy and an high cost of vehicle spare parts, which have compounded transportation costs in and outside the state.
I'm traveling to Chad. From Maiduguri to Gamborungala is 7,000 naira. So from Chad and from Gamboru to N'Djamena, the Chadian capital, is 32,000 naira. But before we used to pay 3,000, 4,000 or 5,000 for a distance that is not more than 100 kilometers.
The network of civil society of Lake Chad region and Chamber of Commerce lamented that masses have been made to bear the brunt of nation's economic policies and charged the federal government to cushion the effect of current hardship faced by the citizen.
You know, when we are mostly dependent on what we can get from outside the country, definitely our currency will always be devalued. And secondly, people are now hard currency dependent. People who have the naira will always like to change it to dollars and keep them even away.
The role of the subsidy is really beyond explanation here, because if you go out to the street, you can see people engaging in negative coping mechanisms You can see family with dignity begging in the street. You can see a parent sending out their younger girls for prostitution just to survive. And you can see young girls and boys coming out to commit crime just for them to survive.
According to them, effort must be made to ensure the security of lives and properties as well as the revival of agriculture in order to arrest inflations and mass exodus of Nigerians to neighboring Nigeria. Olatunji Omiri, Trust TV, Maiduguri.
Meanwhile, the member representing Darazo Genjua Federal Constituency of Bauchi State, Mansur Manu Soro, has charged the federal government to invest in small and medium enterprises and also support dry season fund to improve nations and ensure food security. He stated this at the flag off of this year's distribution of fertilizer and other inputs to dry season farmers in his constituency. He said the federal government should support dry season farmers, whom he said contribute a lot to the nation's food security by complementing the food grown during the rainy season. The lawmaker, who is a chairman, House Committee on Small and Medium Enterprises, also said the federal government must ensure that the SMEs, as foundation of production and employment in the informal sector, have all the support to grow and thrive by providing incentives, access to foreign exchange and capital to reduce the burden hindering their operations in the country. You're watching News Update on Trust TV. Coming up, Kano Carrots producing community appeals for bridge and access road. This and more after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is News Update on Trust TV. Here's a recap of our top stories. We brought you Ibadan resident protest high cost of living, and Lagosians groan over spike in prices of perishable goods. Moving on to more stories. The disability community in Kogi State has demanded sustainable disability inclusive budgeting to strengthen the inclusion and full participation of persons with disabilities and their organizations in state government. The PWDs, under the aegis of Kogi State chapter of National Association of Persons with Physical Disability, made the public presentation of the Charter of Demand to the state at the weekend at Kogi State Office for Disability Affairs. The PWD's rights activist Yusuf Iyondo, who led the group, said the PWD's community in the state, among others, demands amendment to the State's Public Finance Management Law, the State's Procurement Act, full implementation of the provisions of Kogi State Disability Law, and inclusion of disability equity issues in the state's 32 years development plan. According to him, this will bring about effective disability inclusion policies in the state in line with the United Nations Convention on Rights of Persons with Disability and the National Disability Act domesticated in the state. The disability community in the state also tasked the state government to ensure that the provision of essential services such as education, healthcare, water and sanitation, housing and employment the reach people with disabilities in the state. The residents of Daba community in Dawakin Kudu local government area of Kano State have appealed to the state and local governments to construct a bridge that will connect the area with other communities in the locality. A river passing through the village has cut off the community from their neighbors, subjecting residents to untold hardship as they go about their daily movement. Salim Ibrahim visited the carrot farming community recently and files the story.
A passing river covering a large landmass through the road that links the village with its neighbors has cut off activities, subjecting the residents to untold hardship as they go about their daily movement. The people of Daba are largely farmers, producing perishable food items and grains, but the main farming item is carrot, which is produced in a very large quantity. The lack of a good access road remains a major concern for the people of the area. They are not smart as they keep hope alive, praying that one day their suffering will come to pass. Speaking of the situation, a farmer and resident of Daba, Manya Dang Ali, said they faced a series of problems, more especially when they harvest their farm products and want to take it to the market. We face a lot of problems when we harvest carrots or onions and we want to take them out to the market. We have to go through Bunkuri, Goma and other communities before we arrive at Zaria Road through Rano local government area. If you come back through this side from Baradei, Yadia, Kumuria and Garanga, before you take out your goods, you travel about 50 kilometers. Secondly, the roads alone are not good. Most of the times, the drivers transporting the goods will have to come to us, collect or buy sacks, fill them with sand to go and patch the roads. If not, they cannot pass through when they load goods. Also speaking, Sarkin Ruwa Dabar Kwari, in charge of the canoe business, lamented over the poor condition of the canoes and the challenges associated with the business of conveying passengers to and from Daba and across. Talking about the river, it connects so many communities that everyone will have to pass through. And when there are not enough canoes, that's another trouble. Even as the canoe owners are also doing business, it is not easy at all. The worst part of it is when you are about to transport a pregnant woman to the hospital or any other form of emergency. It threatens lives. We have witnessed loss of lives and women giving birth on the road. He explained that the problem persists, especially during the rainy season, as crossing the river becomes a big challenge, posing threat to livelihoods, properties, as well as halting economic development in the area. Aside from the challenges and trouble of crossing the river, the situation has given birth to a new business opportunity for casual motorcycle riders who camp few meters away from the river to convey passengers to the neighboring communities. However,
our distribution companies, DISCOs, have resorted to rationing of data reveal that Nigeria is currently experiencing almost 16,000 megawatts power deficit, despite having so far issued generation licenses to 40 generation companies, the GENCOs. Data sourced from the Independent System Operator and National Peak Demand Forecast on Monday revealed that the country requires nothing less than 19,798 megawatts to reach sufficiency. However, generation by the GENCOs as of Sunday was a mega 3,860.3 megawatts, leaving a deficit of 15,938 megawatts. The development comes on the heels of current power rationing by DISCOs across the country. The depleting power supply situation has continued following the recent system collapse, and after the Transmission Company of Nigeria, the TCN, said it had resorted or restored power supply across the country. And now from the international scene, the United States of America has accused Rwanda of backing the M23 rebel group in the east of Democratic Republic of Congo, prompting a backlash from Kigali. In a statement on Saturday, the U.S. State Department condemned the worsening violence and called on M23 to cease hostilities immediately and withdraw from its current positions around Sake and Goma. It called on Rwanda to immediately withdraw all of its military personnel from the DRC and remove its surface-to-air missile systems. In reaction, Rwanda Foreign Affairs Ministry says that the U.S. statement distorts the reality and that Rwanda reserves the right to self-defense against the DRC's action in the area, which it claims threaten Rwanda's security. Kigali also expressed deep concern over what it terms the abandonment of the regional peace processes, said that the international community is indifferent to DRC's dramatic military build-up. And with that, we wrap up news update on Trust TV. Do not forget to follow us across all our social media platforms and join our YouTube live stream for more news programs and documentaries. I am Sumaya Abubakar. Thanks for watching.